Welcome back to Chris and Retro. Getting on here a little earlier today than normal, which is nice. I didn't have to wait till late until after the girls go to bed to be able to get on here. So it's nice to get on a little earlier and with a little more energy. Um, this video, I'm going to share with you something. It's a very common quote for men, and I understand where it's coming from. Honestly, I found myself motivated by some of the ways these videos are characterized, and but I think there's more to this conversation. I want to make sure I bring it up, and that is the idea of the self-built man. And I'm going to share with you something real quick here that I've noticed. This is primarily through TikTok, but I think it's interesting anyway. Um, all of these here, all these videos are all basically the same clip, and they're all nothing's more dangerous than a man who's healed himself. So this is one actually I like this one. The more dangerous than the man who healed his wounds on his own. And there's another one over here. Got 42. There's some good ones. I'm not saying it's not motivating. I don't know if this is a different one. Yeah, same over. So clearly this resonates. So you look at these things, and these are all recreations, but you're looking at, 6,100 is a low one, 328,000, 235,000, 385,000, 826,000. As I look across the board here, 1.2 million for this one down here. Let's see what's so special about this one. The music. That's a little different. That was a different angle than what they normally do. So anyway, you get the idea. It's a very powerful conversation. It's a very powerful conversation piece, and obviously something that's motivating and a really quick hit for the male population, because it does seem to be all directed towards the male population, obviously because it's talking about a man. Nothing is more dangerous than a man who has healed his wounds on his own. Why would on earth would I have a problem with that? And I don't really have a problem with it. I just think there's more to the story that we need to consider. I don't have any issue with what that brings about. We're talking about grit and discipline and hard work and focus on your goals and all those things. And man, we need those. As men, we need to stay focused, because we get distracted on a lot of nonsense, that really is going to screw us up. But we have a purpose and we're driven towards something that's going to take grit some days, and it's going to take some work. So I agree with the grit and the notion of what the thing is. But here's what my problem is. And I do agree with the whole statement. I just think that it's not for the noble macho reasons that the quote is intended. I'm a man, I built myself up, self-made man. And there's a lot of, look, I mean, there's many of us that have had to do a lot of work on our own and a lot of self-improvement to get ourselves to a place that we could do better, but none of us do it alone. And so I don't think it's for all. I don't think that the reality of that plays out as the connotation suggests, that we're rising because we did it on our own and that grit. I actually think there's a lot of danger in that. I think that, there is nothing more dangerous, but the danger is to you, because I think it's completely impossible for a man to grow on their own and to do it on their own. We need accountability partners. You hear over and over again, iron sharpens iron. The reason that is because men do have a different way that we look at things. There is a different way that we approach our lives and approach our families and approach what we're trying to do, especially when we're broken, especially when we're trying to rebuild our lives. I can tell you from my own personal life, any single time I've tried to go on my own, it's isolation. And as an alcoholic, isolation is not my friend, because then I become my only counsel. And generally speaking, I can look back in my life, and the things that got me in the most trouble was my only counsel in a concert with alcohol. So how can I possibly be expected to be, this macho connotation if all I'm doing is looking at myself to grow? Now, why do we get there as men? Why do we feel we need to do that? Well, for one, we may have, a perception of what we should be doing to look strong. That might be one part of it. The other part of it is trust. I think all of us have trust issues on some level. I have a ton of them. Man, I have real trust issues. If I trust you, it took, I'm probably only about 92% there if I say I trust you, because there's always going to be something I'm always going to hold out on based on something somebody else did. So maybe some of it's trust. We don't really trust the counsel of others. So in those cases, I guess some suggestions I would have. One is, you cannot do it alone, period. And no matter what this says, no matter how motivating it can be, and it has motivated me at times as well. Yes, you have to do your own plan. Yes, you have to grit. Yes, there's days when you are alone and you have to be able to fight through those days alone. But in totality, you're not gonna build yourself on your own. You're gonna need some kind of a support. For me, it's a sponsor and it's a couple of really close friends that I do rely on quite heavily, especially over the last year, and more importantly, over the last 3 weeks. I've relied heavily on my support system. That is necessary. It doesn't make me weak. It just means that I need to have other data input into this freaking brain, because this is the one that got me in trouble over my life. This is the guy right in there. That one is the one that made me crash and burn my life. So I need people to remind me of truths that I might not be seeing because I'm overwhelmed either with sadness or fear or tired or you name it. I mean, what clouds us as men? Look at the emotions that get in our way alone. And if we're the only counsel that we have, where are we ever going to find success in that, especially if we're the ones that were the perpetrator of most of the things that happen to us? I've already talked about that on the show a bunch of times, but I know for sure I'm the perpetrator of most of the bad things that happen to me. So what do we do? Well, I would say force yourself to connect with at least one other person that you moderately trust to at least provide new information in your head. Now I get slammed all the time, so this is massively hypocritical, and I'm just going to fall on the sword right now. I don't ask for help. I never ask for help. And so this one is a little convicting to me. I'm not coming here as an authority on doing this type of thing. I just know that when success happened for me, magically it happened when somebody was standing there coming alongside me and was a fellow traveler in that challenge that I'm having and giving me different information in my head in terms of how I process things. Conversely, some of my greatest failures have been isolated. Some of my worst thinking has been isolated. Some of my worst decision-making in dealing with my life, even as it is today, is when I've isolated myself and not trusted the counsel of those that I've said I trust. I would encourage you as men to understand this. You can be motivated by this. And yes, I think that a man that picks himself up and takes accountability and owns his responsibility as a father, as a man, as a worker, as a citizen, as a recovering person from any addiction, as a person that's recently been incarcerated and they're transitioning into society, soldiers that have been killing people and now suddenly they're back in the United States and they got different things they've got to deal with, including suicidal ideation. Men that come from those places and find places to be productive and valuable to their fellow man, that's super impressive to me. And it takes a special kind of person to have that grit and focus and all those things. So I am not minimizing the value of, in the quiet times, working through it, getting stronger, keep going. What I am suggesting is that we don't intentionally do it on our own. When we have to do it on our own, you do it anyway. In the quietness, you do it anyway. And when nobody's looking, you do it anyway. However, when you can seek the help and counsel of others and it's available to you, please do it. You'll be, if nothing else, you'll be stronger. Let me ask you this, for all you guys that have ever worked out in a gym, have you ever been able to push your bench press to higher weight or higher reps without a spotter? Nope. Have you ever, as a baseball player, been able to improve your swing beyond the tee without somebody throwing a ball to you? No. A wide receiver in football, you ever get any better without somebody throwing you the ball? No, you don't. Any sport that you've ever been in, has a coach ever helped you through that helped you think about things differently? Of course. I mean, these are obvious things. On the job training. You can't just walk in any job and just do whatever you want to do. You have to get job training. Same thing goes for the sponsors and other things. They have different perspective. They've lived these experiences oftentimes. Your fellow man can help you as a fellow traveler. May not know exactly what you're going through, but sometimes in stages, it certainly does make a difference. I've experienced it this week, and I would encourage you to do the same thing. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. I haven't been reminding you to do that. That's failure on my part as a content creator. So please like and subscribe. Any comments are welcome. I appreciate you guys supporting this. And between now and the next time we talk, please stay out of trouble.